How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Fibs Reacts, and in today's video I'm going to be talking a little bit about my first experience watching One Piece. Now, for those of you who may be unfamiliar, One Piece is a very popular anime, but it has also been adapted into a live action show on Netflix, and I was a little hesitant to get into the show just because there are like 1,000 episodes and it seemed really overwhelming. But I thought maybe starting with the live action show would kind of give me a nice introduction and also kind of narrow it down to the essentials. The main story of One Piece is pretty simple. It follows a young boy named Luffy who possesses special abilities allowing him to stretch, trying to put together a pirate crew to find the ultimate treasure, the One Piece. The first thing that really stood out to me about the anime in particular is Luffy's voice is damn near intolerable. I mean, it is almost ear-splittingly annoying to listen to. And by the way, I am talking in reference to the dubbed version because I don't want to read subtitles, man. I know a lot of you guys read subtitles when you watch TV shows. It's distracting. And plus, I don't want to read when I'm watching a TV show. But anyway, it does kind of take a minute to get used to Luffy's voice, just because he's always screaming, he's always yelling, because he's always excited about something. Now, the Luffy in the live action version, played by Inaki Godoy, I think is a more tamer version of Luffy, and I think he is portrayed very well in the live action show. Now, the rest of the cast for the live action show, overall the performances are pretty solid, and I would say at least from the main cast, the strongest, in my opinion, as far as acting ability would be Emily Rudd, who plays Nami, and let me just say, Nami was cast very well. Very well. Now, one thing about the anime as opposed to the live action version of the show is the anime will drag out storylines for all they are worth. And there does tend to be a lot of filler going on. Like, there are some storylines in the anime that are over the course of like 10 episodes. And by the time I finish the story arc, I'm like, man, this could have been 3 episodes. They just be bullshitting in the anime. Like, that's all it is, man. It's just like side quest and bullshitting. Now, one thing I was a little hesitant about is the production quality. Now, I would say across the board for season 1 and season 2, it's pretty solid. I mean, for a TV budget, there are moments that you notice it more than others. Sometimes it's really obvious that like they're on a set, or some of the special effects here and there can be kind of wonky. But adapting something like an anime, especially when you're dealing with pirates and boats, and especially the ocean, which is a very large undertaking, especially for a TV budget, you know, I think the live action does pretty well. Next, I wanted to talk about the costumes. Now, in the anime, it's kind of funny because, and again, this is just from what I've seen of the anime so far, I noticed that with each story arc, Nami would be the only character who would change their look, but the rest of the crew would tend to keep their same clothes and their same look. Like Sanji, Usopp, Luffy, and Zoro basically always look the same or always wearing the same clothes, but for whatever reason, Nami changes her look all the time. Now, that's in the anime, but in the live action, pretty much with any new episode that you watch, everyone in the cast has a new wardrobe. I do like the style that they choose for some of the characters and some of the looks. Now, again, it is kind of weird because One Piece is this thing where it's hard to tell like what timeline or what time period it takes place during. It's like on the one hand, they're using cannons from like the Revolutionary War era, but then next thing you know, Luffy is wearing like a baseball uniform, and it's like, okay, like what time period is this? And it seems to me like there really isn't one. It's just kind of whatever, which is cool. It's fun. Next, I wanted to talk about the fight choreography, which I think is really strong in the live action. Now, obviously, again, there's a lot of things that you can do more easily in the anime than you can in live action. But I think especially, you know, dealing with a character like Zoro, who wields 3 swords, one of them in his mouth, it is pretty incredible how they choreographed some of his fight scenes. Now, from time to time, you will see some clear use of wire work in the live action show, but I I think for the most part, again, especially when you're adapting something like an anime, they did a pretty solid job in the live action. I do really like Zoro, both in the anime and the live action. I would say overall he's my favorite character, at least so far. I also like Sanji. He's obviously a charmer. I like his humor, but he also has a very cool fighting style. There are some storylines in this show that really made me more emotional than I thought it would. Things like Sanji's backstory I found to be really compelling, also Nami's backstory, and then when you got to Chopper's origin, especially with the way the live action portrayed Chopper, I think was just so heartbreaking. And I was very impressed with the look of Chopper in the live action show. The special effects used for Chopper in the live action I found to be very impressive. It was pretty surreal how much emotion they could convey in a CGI character. So I think in that aspect they did a very good job. Now what I will say about the live action show, just in its overall appearance, everything looks brand new. Like the boats and the costumes and the sets, none of it really looks like it's been lived in, which just kind of makes it less believable. So I think to give a more authentic look to the live action show, make the costumes, look a bit more dingy, maybe mute the colors a little bit, make the boats and the environments, make them look like they've been there a while, because otherwise it just kind of gives an appearance of like a stage play or like an SNL sketch, and the costumes look more like Party City than like actual clothing that the characters themselves would wear. So that's one of my main gripes with the live action show. And listen, I know this is an adaptation of a very, very bizarre anime, but you can still make it feel more believable. For example, take Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, Pirates of the Caribbean is one of my favorite franchises, and again, even though there are a lot of bizarre ideas, it still has a look of age and like the world has been lived in and the costumes have been lived in. It looks more gritty, it looks more realistic, and even though you have a man walking around with a face entirely made of tentacles, it looks believable. So I think this is something that the live action show could really benefit from. Now, I wanted to watch the anime alongside the live action show just so I could kind of compare and see if the live action is faithful to the source material, and I gotta say, it's pretty spot on. I mean, there are a few things here and there that they don't include in the live action. Again, a lot of it is just unnecessary filler stuff, but besides that, it is very, very faithful to the anime, and I would imagine the manga as well. So if you think that One Piece is something you'd like to get into, I have made a viewing guide that I will link down below, which basically has a list of the live action episodes along with the corresponding anime episodes, and will kind of make for a more easy viewing experience and kind of help you keep track better. So yeah, if you're looking for a bizarre pirate adventure, then yeah, I would probably give One Piece a shot. Have I enjoyed every single aspect of One Piece up to this point? Not necessarily, but at the same time, I love a good adventure, and so for the most part, I enjoyed it. So thank you guys for watching today's video. If you have also watched One Piece, either the anime or the live action, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. But do be mindful of spoilers. Please don't spoil anything for anyone else. Please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. And as always, catch you later.